And welcome back. And oh my goodness.
Shit.
I don't know. Hellraiser 1 and Hellraiser 2 definitely left me feeling a little bit more satisfied.
Well, I mean, if they're priests of the gash of all things.
Exactly. When you worship at that altar.
Right?
But with Rawhead, Rex, and Nightbreed, we got full-on monsters.
I know. I love monsters.
This was a celebration of monsters.
Ah!
And this Rawhead Rex from 1986 was the first time viewing for both of us. Now, what did you know of this movie going in?
Nothing. There's a monster. He pisses on a priest, and that's about it.
If you would have I've seen that with me, I would have said about the priest pissing. Because when I heard that Rawhead Rex was getting a 4K boutique Blu-ray, I'm like, oh great, I get to see a priest pissed on in 4K.
In high definition. All the bells and whistles.
And I will say this, having now seen the movie in the context of the priest pissing, I didn't realize it was a baptism.
Dude, he fucking loved it. I was thinking, like, at some point in time, like, a priest is the good guy, like, you know, John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness, and somehow Rawhead Rex is on top raw and just, like, pisses. I didn't know it was going to be like, oh, Lord, bathe me in your love. And it's like, Rawhead Rex eats asparagus. And so, like, I was not expecting that. It was like, you get to drink from the fire hose. Boosh. It's like, goddamn.
You know, there's a thing on yellow snow. This is yellow Irish cream. You don't drink it. You do not drink
he's
it.
just dripping in Bailey's when he gets done. It's just horrible.
It made me laugh because
I giggled the shit out of it.
I knew it was coming. And what's crazy is the movie is entitled Rawhead Rex. From not 3 to 5 minutes into the film, he arises.
Yeah, and he fucks shit up.
And I will say, even the trailer, I remember seeing it, the way they shot him jumping out of the ground.
It was cool. It looked like he was a big giant monster.
Yes.
It was like the same effects that they use in the old Power Rangers when they're getting big, like, rah, Goldar will destroy the world. Right? But it's same, he's like, rah, and it sold the fucking terror. Like, he was cool and scary.
Now, let me ask you this. Do you think Rawhead Rex would be a good foil for Psycho Goreman?
Yes, absolutely. Maybe he does like hunky boys.
Because when I was watching Rawhead Rex, it immediately gave me that feel of the man in the rubber suit. The charm involved with that because it is practical. He's there.
He's there. He's a real thing. He's actually picking up people and throwing them and shit.
Chowing down on a lot of people in here.
Pissing on everything.
Let me ask you this. Would Uncle Red appreciate this film?
Oh yeah, Uncle Red would like
piss on the priest, piss on the rabbis,
piss on everybody. He Rawhead Rex always calls me that. Like it was a lot of fun, and like, but he looked like what I would expect a demon would. Leather clad, adorned with all of his accoutrements with the skulls and
comes
knives
with accessories.
And shit. And the fact he's got a fucking mohawk and those red eyes and he's all gnarly looking. He looked fucking dope. Like, I'm surprised there's not more like Rawhead Rex and like haunted houses and shit, because that is a great costume.
Because it also seems like it might be a little bit easier to make. And I know one of the things that Barker had an issue with this movie was how Rawhead Rex looked, and we appreciate him, but I did some digging, as you did with the Hellraiser series, and you know when you do some digging into Clive Barker again,
you're gonna hit something slimy.
You're gonna end up on a special list somehow, and oh my goodness, if you've seen the picture of how Rawhead Rex is depicted in the original novel, little novella that Barker put, basically he's got a penis for a head with a lot of razor-sharp teeth. He assaults all of his victims. Like, we got the kid's glove version of Rawhead Rex.
So is it diddler?
Yes. Oh, no. There's a reason I'm kind of glad that this was a fun movie. Like, I walked away from it going, okay.
So from Rawhead Rex to Raw Dog Sex.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
Remember, folks, they're paying for this. Come on.
Oh, they paid for it all right.
No, that's just it. I had fun with this movie. I was shocked at actually how much fun I had with this movie.
It makes sense, though, that Clive Barker's originally intent was for a big, giant penis monster. Because if you think about it, it even fits in the story because he's defeated by a fertility god.
Yes, he is.
So, like, in essence, the penis is destroyed by the vagina.
Yeah, as it Usually will and always will be.
Yeah.
We always bow to our feminist overlords. And we talk about, if you go to watch John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars, that whole thing is built around the matriarchal society. Maybe Rawhead Rex was the beginning of that.
Gosh, I can't even imagine if he was a giant penis monster. I think that would take the whole Power Rangers aesthetic. They're like, oh no, it's Dickdar. Or some shit like that.
The pillar that they were
It's
working.
a whole fucking phallic thing.
Yes.
But at the same time, okay. Obviously, the people who have moved, the monoliths that have recently appeared all over the world, have never seen this movie or any other horror movie. Because when a monolith appears or you stumble upon it, don't fuck with it.
Nope.
And what's the first thing we do with the Irish farmers? We'll take it out. I'll get the village. Come on. And then the whole thing. And what happens? They get fucked up. As soon as you start fucking with a monolith and clouds start rolling in and it starts to storm out of nowhere, that's a fucking sign.
Mother Nature is telling you something.
Right.
Don't do that. Stop digging. Don't go forward.
And again, if your village church has a stained wall depicting the monolith and there's a fucking monster underneath it, don't fuck with it. Don't fuck with it.
I wrote down that was probably one of my favorite things in the film is the fact from the get-go in the church pane, the decorative glass is Rawhead Rex eye beaming.
Just mean mugging.
A lot of mean mugging in this double feature.
Mean mugging in this movie.
Maybe Clive Barker actually writes that into his script, like this character, mean mugs.
And the unseeing monolith that holds back the ghastly, incomprehensible madness to destroy the humanity, mean mugged the hero. Yes, to print!
It's wonderful. And it's the fact that, number one, this film, Stephen King gave Clive Barker probably the biggest passing of the torch when he said, I have seen the future of horror.
And it is Clive Barker.
Yes.
He scared the hell out of me.
But he literally gave, and so there's a commercial that we played in the pre-show where it's Stephen King on the set of Sleepwalkers. You don't get to see it in the clip I had to cut it down, but you see Mick Garris's beautiful hair. But it's Stephen King and Clive Barker, and he's like, we're masters of horror here. And you can see this is young Clive Barker going, just kind of like, I'm a master of horror now.
Fuck, I would, even old Clive Barker, like Stephen King, hey, this guy's got this nose of shit.
Well, and it's appropriate because usually we say, it's a Stephen King movie
when kids get got. And goddamn did this kid get got.
Oh my goodness. I didn't think the kid was going to get got.
I didn't think the kid was going to get got
either. Really thought the dad was going to come in, thwart Rawhead a little, or Rawhead would take him away.
Raw and kidnap him.
Yes.
Mario and Bowser. Because there was even this thing at the beginning when he's taking out the farmer and his wife, and the wife is pregnant, and I thought he was going to go, right? But the fact he doesn't, I'm like, okay, he doesn't kill kids. Maybe Rawhead Rex has some sort of weird code.
Yeah, well, you also notice that the nails actually
expanded and
he's like
Rawhead Wolverine. It's rad. But
no, I was also that I thought set the precedent, and maybe they did that on purpose, that we would think the kid would be cool. And the kid was cool because...
The kid was fucking cool. He's over there. First of all, he's reading Transformer comics and Secret Wars 2 comics, right?
And do you remember Secret Wars 2?
Fuck yeah, I remember Secret Wars 2.
So I always thought it was a little boring because it was the Beyonder coming into our universe having this existential midlife, infinite crisis.
But the fact that he made everybody fuck each other up was awesome.
Of course, he's the Beyonder.
Yeah.
So the kid's reading these amazing comics. So already, in 1986,
and he's got jokes. And the kid's got jokes. For a precocious kid, they're pretty funny.
And as someone that always leans towards the humor, I know you are a person that's going to automatically kind of make that connection.
He kind of endeared me. As much as I like seeing bad kids get got, I don't like seeing good kids get got.
Well, you'd like to think, talking about an honor code or an honor system in horror, a lot of the times, usually that's the case. But as we're seeing with Stephen King
and Clive Barker,
it's not the case.
He'll fuck that kid.
You can be a holy saint. You can live your life the best way possible, and you're probably going to get it even worse than anyone else. Mm-hmm. He has a very interesting take on religion, on sexual politics. Like you said, his work is very adult, But with Rawhead Rex, it just for a lot of the part, it was just kind of a big monster movie.
It's just a monster movie. There's not a lot of like subtext. It's definitely not Hellraiser. It's definitely not Nightbreed.
No.
But it's just a fun Irish monster pissing on Father Mean Mugs. That priest
From the get-go.
Father McMuggins, when he's like, he went to the Bluto School of Acting because, like, that's funny. He's like, I'm here for the church. Fuck off. And I was like, a foul-mouthed priest was wonderful.
Well,
wonderful.
Usually you can't go wrong with anything like that, but this also kind of goes along in folk horror in a lot of ways, of which technically, and especially within Irish folk horror,
Oh, yeah.
look at The Hallows, The Perished, Patty Murphy's movie.
Well, because it all stems back from, like, okay, Christianity's good and it's the whole thing, but there was so much more shit before Christianity. And Christianity, it almost said that, like, the Catholic Church was just plagiarizing everything that came. It's like you even built your holy temple on already holy land.
They were big on co-opting things, as it turned out.
Synergy. Taking the sin out of synergy.
Print it. But that's the thing with a Barker film is you're going to get some elements of that. And again, whether or not that soothes the wounded whole or if it's just window dressing, or in this case, Rawhead dressing, as we saw literally in the window.
Yeah.
It's something that you can add to it if you would like and make it more than a monster movie. Because for this one, it's an hour and a half. It's lean. It's mean.
It's fun. And it's got what you want in an 80s horror movie. There was, like, random nudity for no reason.
There was some random nudity, of course.
For no reason. Violence.
Trashing the trailer park.
Oh, he fucked that trailer park up like a random tornado. That thing went wild. He's flipping over shit and everybody's like, what the fuck? And everybody's like, where's Andy? Andy! Right? And that kid, I felt so bad because he saw that and he's fucking scarred. I mean, the point was like, he pulled a fucking Shep Howard. He's like, right? And like the girl did too, and he just devoured that trailer park.
Yeah,
it was a great scene. I don't know. I love scenes of chaos when you see the monster in full glory.
Yes.
Going off on something. For example, Piccadilly Circus in Werewolf. This one, I mean, just whenever the monster and you get it, good lighting, just all up in there, and he's just killing everybody. I enjoyed this scene so much.
Now, let me ask you this, because, again, seeing things up close in 4K, certain things you shouldn't. We need some grain occasionally. Did you notice the alien-esque mouth within a mouth with Rawhead?
I did. And it actually made it even more scarier.
That's what I thought initially. I was like, wait, I know that's technically just the mouth of the guy, but what if?
It added more dimension.
Yes.
If you have to get past the mighty incisors, and once you get past the mighty incisors, he's got another set of teeth to fuck your ass up. Yeah, no, he's a good, cool monster.
And he's all about chowing down, as he does, and that's just it. There's that one shot when our main protagonist sees him on the hill.
On the hill?
Yes.
And he's like, what the fuck is that? And
that
he's got the head.
Back, yes.
Raw, and those piercing red eyes. That was a great shot.
I really did like that.
That was a great shot.
There were some elements in here I'm like, yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I think I would have probably enjoyed this if I would have saw this, if I would have been brave enough to rent that VHS tape back in the day. But this was a pretty solid watch, just in terms as a first-timer. Now, that being said, am I going to go out and buy that 4K boutique Blu-ray? I don't know if I am.
The Pink Floyd laser light show at the end was kind of goofy.
It's a low budget,
They should have kind of stayed with the practical.
I think they should have.
I mean, I understand maybe having one or two like wisps of like magic and element shit going on, even maybe like a lens flare or two, but to like fully fucking draw on it, I was like, it kind of took me out of the movie because like we've seen him destroy everything. We see, and then finally at the epic battle, he's just bathed in like the color out of space, right? And I was like, rats. But other than that, I still enjoyed it. It was a B+B movie.
That's pretty fair, actually. Like I said, I'm glad I can cross it off my list, especially being that I do enjoy Clive Barker. And this was just a movie that I was so aware of, but never had experienced it.
No, I never saw it too. I mean, and it was a lot of fun. The kills are good and gory, especially when he's killing everybody to that AM Gold behind him. AM Gore. Nightmare Junkhead, sponsored by AM Gore. He attacked me in my Chevy van, and that's all right with me.
I think it's because we technically enjoy way too many films from that era, and a lot of that stuff was probably really cheap to get, tunes-wise, so yeah.
But it worked.
It totally works. It totally works. From Last House on the Left to this, you throw in some AM Gold,
right.
and it's golden.
It's that weird juxtaposition between, like happy adult contemporary and violence and bloodshed. It's that sweet spot.
I will also say I actually really dig the main theme for Rawhead Rex.
Me too.
His theme, not too terribly bad. Again, a lot to like with this movie, and I can see where it definitely spawned a cult following.
Yeah.
It's for all you Rawheads out there. I assume that's what they're called.
I guess. And the fact that it's open for a sequel.
Well, of course.
Surprise!
Well, technically, we will be screening Raw next week as part of Friday Night Frights for Women in Horror Month, but not quite
Rawhead Rex.
Although, if you throw Rawhead Rex, because technically Raw is French film, it's set in a veterinarian school, so maybe they're doing some stuff with Rawhead.
Rawhead Rex. I'm telling you, I like the way they think.
Yeah, well, let's go then from Ireland back into Canada, as it turns out. From 1986 to 1991.
Digging Up the Marrow 2.
Adam Green mentioned he did not realize that he named his character Decker in Digging Up the Marrow, and that the marrow is basically Midian. I'd like to think just the cosmic unconsciousness made that happen. But all the way back in 1990, we had the home that was Midian. And by any chance, Genius McGee, 1990, so this one, did you see it in the theater?
I did, but I was like, I don't know, either I didn't get it or something.
Even with all the monsters?
Even with all the monsters. I don't know what it was. I think I just kind of fell asleep, or I just remember getting up to a certain point and then don't remember much of it until subsequent viewings significantly later.
Right.
And then I was like, this movie is fucking great.
Well, it's funny. Both of your theatrical experiences with Barker have involved you either walking out or just being disinterested.
Right. I don't know what that is.
It leads me to believe that his fare is more of an adult nature, and that a kid can get lost in the monsters and the gore, but a lot of the other stuff that's going on may not necessarily interest you. Which begs the question, though, with all the gore involved,
with all the monsters, with everything, I do not know to this day.
That cracks me up.
Because it's got everything that I fucking love. It's got monsters and Cronenberg, and the fact that the monsters are real and they're friendly, but yet they will take you in and be a monster.
You unless you're meat.
Right, unless you're meat.
But hopefully they're abiding by the law.
You got to watch out for that moon guy, Mac Tonight, and Doug Bradley.
Doug Bradley, yes.
I don't know why. It took me almost 10 years before I actually sat down and really imbibed this movie.
I think it's one you can imbibe. Just in terms of comparing it with Rawhead Rex, with Nightbreed, you're establishing this crazy mythology. In fact, from the get-go, when you get the Nightbreed that comes across, and you see
all the different Nightbreeds,
and Pelican with that elongated jaw, which I still haven't seen. I think that's just only in the thing. But it just sets such a cool, crazy tone. And then the dream sequence and all of them running around, just doing their thing, looking at the camera, breaking the fourth wall constantly, kind of telling you this is a mirthful, fun movie. But then you bring in Cronenberg's Deckard, and his slaughter of that couple
was fucked up.
Including
the kid. He fucked that kid up. We don't see it, but we know what happened. The fact that they mentioned that he's already killed 6 families like this in less than 10 months. This is crazy for being as fun and mirthful because like you said, they're running and jumping and it's scary behind the Danny Elfman music. So there's always that circus theme-ish type going on, to Cronenberg being fucking nuts.
His slaughter with the wife, I remember seeing this at my friend Steve's house on probably USA Up All Night, or we would have rented it at Blockbuster. Either or, I've seen it multiple times, but it was always at his house because for a while there, when I was from middle school to my freshman year in high school, I spent a lot of Friday nights at his house. Blockbuster videos.
Oh, yeah.
USA Up All Night.
Oh, yeah.
Saw a lot of films, this one included. And I don't know, just the intimacy of the thing with the little couple. They were engaging with each other. They looked really nice. Like, dude's watching hockey. She's getting ready to make a sandwich.
I'm getting fed. And he goes, I like it.
I like
And it's just this charming, wonderful couple.
And then the little kid comes in, Mommy, I saw, should have been.
It's okay. Go to sleep. The next thing you know, here comes Cronenberg. Fuck!
And the shot of him coming out to the stairwell and then looking up.
And then just creeping slowly, and then it just covers the shadow. You're like, God, that kid is fucking toast. Oh, goddamn.
Establishing early with the movie that the humans are the monsters and the monsters are the good guys, as it turns out. And I think with like Clive Barker, filmmakers like Rob Zombie, where you can tell Guillermo del Toro, they love the monsters.
Oh, yeah.
The monsters ideally would be protagonists in all their films if they could. And in this case...
This movie felt like a mixtape. We know it's Clive Barker, but looking back on it with like nowadays eyes, it feels like a mixtape of Guillermo del Toro and Tim Burton and all these other people who you definitely can tell love and respect, the odd ones, the weird ones, the monsters. I mean, Tim Burton with the aesthetics of the fucking the graveyard with the matte painting. That's plus the fact you have Danny Elfman's hauntingly beautiful score,
really good.
Behind it, the fact that all the monsters are so unique visually, even Baphomet himself looked like something out of a Del Toro movie.
Yes, he did.
It's like if this movie hasn't planted so many seeds in so many people, it's ridiculous if it hasn't, because it has totally has to. I mean, the music even alone, when I heard the bum 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 bum, like that sounds like composed by Danny Elfman. And I know people are gonna say, well, he's derivative and everything that he does sounds the same, but I fucking love it regardless. It sets the mood so well.
Well, also, this is 1990 Danny Elfman, so this is when he's really getting started. So he's establishing the sound that will eventually be derivative. So at least we're getting the OG stuff at this point. Do you have a favorite monster from Midian?
Besides Porcupine Girl?
So when I saw this originally back 1990, Steve's house, let me just say this. Any of you that ever listened to our live Nerds of Nostalgia that we did at Comic-Con? That's Steve's house, okay? So needless to say, I've had some weird feelings expressed over at that house.
This podcast brought to you by Rug Doctor.
And there were some pricklies in the rug at that time. Yeah, the porcupine, I dreamt him. Yes, I dreamt of her constantly.
Not a deal breaker.
That was my question.
Not a deal breaker.
Handle with care?
Handle with kid gloves. Like, the kind of gloves that like the of glove that firemen have to use. They don't burn their hand just so you don't get like pricked and like, Because she was a treat. She knew it too. Because even when all those like monsters and yokels and like fucking mobs, she was like, hey, and I'm like, God damn. She's like, if Critters was a porno. It's kind of awesome.
Do you think Krites click on that and they're like, yes. That's horrible. That is horrible.
Bitchin'. Right? But I also like the monster. I forgot his name, but he's all in black. He looks like the devil, and he's got like the Cuban Pete arms.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
The Matador. They call me Cuban Pete.
The one that I always thought was interesting and weird was the wall tapper. The one that would almost like he was like radar in a way, or also communicating throughout Midian potentially.
Yeah, like that was their main communication, like intruders, right? And then the fact that the beat from this monster accentuated the chase that was going on. It was so well done because you felt like you were being chased. The editing cuts everything. Mm-hmm. This is a well-crafted movie.
Well, this is, I believe, Barker's second film after Hellraiser in terms of directing. So I think he definitely established some more chops within those first two films, because there are moments that still to this day genuinely get me.
Yeah.
And
when he took his face off.
Oh, Lord. Oh, that always bothered me. That whole hospital sequence, especially when Boone gets all righteous. He's like, yes, show me
where Midian is.
And
you're a test. Yeah, that's right.
I'd be pissed if that was that guy, like showing him his real face.
Right?
Oh, the agony.
Oh no, it's Cronenberg. And even Cronenberg
it's
when he's not fucking, even when he's Cronenberg when he's not fucking that mask on, when he's just standing there in the hallway and he just has that vision, he's like slowly sauntering. I'm like, fuck, Cronenberg is scary as shit. Holy goddamn.
Although I will say we recently talked Shivers on Nightmare Junkhead on our main feed.
That's the great thing I like about this movie, because he is classy, contemporary, and creepy Cronenberg all rolled into one.
I watched some old footage of him directing that movie. Dude, he's a handsome man.
Mm-hmm.
But 1975 Cronenberg, he's got like a sleeveless T-shirt on. He's all I was just like, he's kind of, well, I can see why it was such a sexually charged shoot.
Don't dream it. He's over there with Jane March. He goes, I'll be in my trailer. You know, you want to get rabid? But like,
he's terrifying, but yet
he's so scary. But
oddly
charismatic and
Yes,
classy. For
yes.
example, the friend that she meets in Midian, and she's like, I've met this wonderful dreamboat guy. He's witty or urbane, and yet it's Cronenberg. But Cronenberg's classy, because that one brief scene where he's at his house and he's just got that table full of knives, and like everything around him is like wallpaper with guts and gore and shit, and then the walls behind him look like it's flowing blood, and I'm thinking like, that's a fucking cool room. I like Cronenberg's style. If I had money and class, I would have that would be my dining room.
And we're a sociopathic serial killer?
Well, no, but just, had a table full of knives and like, I already have scenes of gore on my wall. I already got like shit like that. I just need the classy upflowing waterfall and the red table full of knives, and I'll be like, I'm Cronenberg for Halloween.
I realize if I walk into your house and it's like that, I'm walking right out, my friend. Okay, I am not gonna end up.
Come in, we're gonna not dream it. We're gonna be it. It's gonna be awesome. And like.
Oh my Lord.
Have some lithium.
The relationship between Boone and Laurie, we watched the director's cut, and I think that's probably the biggest thing with this is there's more time of them together. We get an entire performance at the bar with her, which I didn't expect.
Streets of Midian. There's nothing going. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with going nowhere, baby, but you should be going to Midian fast.
Which leads me to believe which one is going to be wearing the leather lederhosen.
Fucking Boone. Dude, Boone, but no, not Boone. Cronenberg. If Cronenberg came in with the lederhosen, he's enough to creep out Bobby Peru. So like,
he just has better teeth and hair.
Take Bobby Peru to Midian. Take Bobby Peru to Midian. Right? But like, yeah, no, I could just totally picture Cronenberg. He's creeping out of the shadows.
He's
Godspeed, right?
Oh, it's everything about him was just beyond creepy in this. A couple of things that I also remember kind of bothering me as a kid was
the egg drink.
Oh, yes.
That bothered the fuck out of me, dude. That gave me the fucking willies.
Especially at a young age, that probably really kept me away from alcohol and like the idea of a hangover, and that's what you're going to drink to like overcome that. Very adult stuff that I just didn't know existed. Things like that you did.
I still don't know people.
Question, do they do that or is it just something they do in movies?
Because fucking Brian Bosworth did it. And like this girl did it. It must have been established in the 90s that you put eggs in something to drink.
So I used to put eggs in my milkshake. I thought it would make it healthy. I would put an egg in it. And
Did you beat it first? Because that's what makes it malt.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Because it's basically meringue.
That's just it. I realized I totally did it, but it was because of shit like that I saw in movies like this that I just assumed it made it healthy, and I would maybe be able to do something better. It would enhance me somehow. Not a potion per se, right. But
the only time I have eggs in the glass is when I'm about to put them into something else. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I think that's if you do have an egg in a glass, that's where it needs to go. Right. Not down your throat in a skillet.
Unless you're training for the 1984 Olympics, there's no need to.
No, it was the old man that was he had like affection toward them down in Midian.
Because he wanted to be one of them.
Yeah.
That was the killer.
And that's the question I love with Midian is, are they truly monsters or are these just more outcasts? The not freaks per se, but just people that don't belong.
I think it's a little bit of both, because you can be made into a monster. You can be turned. But it's weird because you have elements of vampirism and all that thing, but you also have elements of like a Victor Crowley type monster, where it's just like a disfigured immortal that just wants to kill, like the Berserkers.
Berserkers?
You know?
Mean bastards.
The Berserkers are rad, and I understand, again, they look like Power Ranger villains now, but at the same time, they still look fucking cool.
Just these large hulking tanks of beasts.
Release the Berserkers. Fucking dope.
Boone, let them go. Go get them, boys.
So dope.
I think when I saw this film, because it is a hybrid film, because it has action elements, does have the comedic elements, but it is a straight horror film. When those action elements hit, I remember as a kid, one of the first few times I watched this, anytime I got something totally different from a horror film, it was exciting because it was different. I didn't know you could do things like that.
And the fact that this is Dances with Monsters is like a really cool take, because tell me it's not.
Stands with a prick then?
Right?
Yeah.
But it's because like he realizes he needs to be a monster. These are his people, and he has to help them from this awful like town and these people that want to exterminate him, for the simple fact that they want to exterminate. For example, like Decker's whole thing was like, he goes, I thought I was happy just killing everybody, but I'm not going to be happy until I exterminate a whole entire civilization. That's what he wanted to do. So the fact that he gets to do it and be the monster is like, he's like, yeah. But it sucks the fact that he killed that guy, that I felt so bad for that dude. And fucking leave the fucking monsters alone. Unless you fuck with them, they're not going to fuck with you.
Right. Well, then you talk about the yokels and the hayseeds, so to speak, where they are arming up for Armageddon.
Yeah.
And it just shows you the fact, again, this is where you do side with the monsters, and you realize the ones that we are awful. As a white 40-year-old male genius, I am responsible for so much of the world's ails and ills right now.
Because look at even the dude who worked in the weapons locker, and he's like, you got this, and then of course your garrote.
Oh my
And he's just this like spindly, nerdy guy who's just ready looking for fights, and you're just like, God damn, you humans are awful. This whole town needs to die.
They need to get got.
They need to get got hard.
Now, having last year watched Black Sunday for the first time, I can truly appreciate, or I should say, I know that if you have some sort of muscled hunk with a shirt off and a hood, someone's going to get beheaded.
Not good.
Yeah, or an Iron Maiden
good.
is going to come out here. Not good. That whole flashback sequence
was terrifying, was fucking awful, because you felt so bad for these poor monsters. It looked like T2 Judgment Day and like the land of Sauron. It just looked awful.
The priest with their big hoods and
that big long executioner. This is weird because you have these dark elements in basically what is an Alice's Adventures in the Wonderland, or a Wizard of Oz fairy tale. And of course you can't have a fairy tale without some sort of horrific, heinous shit, because this is a very adult fairy tale.
It is.
And I loved it. But this guy's bad news when the sheriff was just pure chussel.
Yeah, and he also wore a mustache.
He was just pure
and looking for any excuse to chomp on a cigar. Unless you're Hannibal from the A-Team, don't do that with me. It's just not going to work. Other things on your notes there, genius.
The Wall of Skulls was dope.
Wall of Skulls was amazing.
She's like, let me tell you about Midian, and all the skulls were there. And I love the fact that she could dispatch all these people by turning into mist. That was fucking rad. All the monsters were cool. It felt like fully fleshed out characters in an actual living, breathing society.
And they're all practical.
Yeah, they're all practical, and they're all so uniquely different. And that's what made it fantastic, because you can have like Morlocks, and they're all like, and not like the X-Men Morlocks, because those are cool, but like the Morlocks from the Time Machine, where they're all these like weird blue Hulk Hogan homunculi, right? But the fact that everything in this world is different, unique, they all have pets, and like what Decker said in not this movie, but in Digging Up the Marrow, they have relationships. Yeah, they have families, they have friends, they have communities, they have enemies and arguments and everything, just like a real community. And that's what made it even more heartbreaking to see that us humans are willing to destroy everything and anything that we deem as different or not like us. And the causes, like they said, well, what happens when they don't understand or fear? Well, they destroy. And it's fucking heartbreaking. Again, it's Dances with Monsters, and it's fucking bullshit.
So let me ask you, could we plan a triple feature? It would have to be a very long one of Dances with Wolves, Avatar, and Nightbreed.
Yes.
Fitting the exact same kind of.
Absolutely.
So you'd have your Western, your sci-fi, and your horror.
All unwrapped. But that old man, for a second, I was like, Buck Flowers. And then here comes Decker, and I was like, oh, no, not Buck Flowers.
Canadian Buck Flower.
Right. Okay, so here's my thing that's a bit confusing to me.
Mm-hmm.
When the other priest, the drunken priest, we got a weird priest abuse double feature.
Yes, we do. Yes,
right?
we do.
When he gets the goo with the baptismal juice, Baphomet P, when he gets that on him, it turns him into like a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question is, since they're looking for the new Midian and everybody's out and about, does that make him now the de facto villain where he wants to go and kill everybody and destroy Cabal? Because that's what I got out of it.
I assume that they were kind of laying out the groundwork for another film.
Another Nightbreed 2.
Yes, and that would work completely. I think it totally sets that thing up.
It would make sense.
And you would have Deckard as kind of the godhead. When he goes, "Rah!" at the end, that also always freaked me out.
And then that weird fighting by the glory hole during the... Did you notice that? That weird glory hole fight scene? You're like, oh, what's going on? Rah! And I was like, oh, no.
Not until you just said it, but now retroactively, you've completely ruined the viewing. God damn it, genius. You always do this to me.
Welcome to Nightbreed. Right?
You know what? Quite honestly, there should have been some beaded curtains in between a few of those things in there.
There was. I was waiting for bam, 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 or like the song from Venusville.
Yep. Oh, complete. It's well, and what I liked with the directors, because I did feel we got more of Midian, and I did see a few more of the monsters. In fact, one of my favorite one is the big one that goes, and he's that big, large dude, and then you have the one that has the head like in the little,
and then that weird like blob thing on the side, all these different weird monsters. It was so fucking cool. But then it's funny because everything exploding, and then it turns into My Demon Lover for a second.
Yes, it does.
Did it not feel like My Demon Lover? Because he was like, rah.
Would this movie be better with Scott Valentine versus Craig Sheffer?
Well,
it's Nick.
Yeah. You know what? I would see it.
It's not too bad.
I would see My Demon Lover fucking Midian crossover. I would totally see that.
He would fit right in Midian. In fact, he would actually... What's great with Midian is just the idea of it, that it can be anywhere. And that's the whole thing at the very end when he's becomes Cabal and he's like, your destiny was actually to lead us from here. It's kind of like with Asgard in the MCU. It's just
Monster
wherever.
Moses.
Yeah, he is. Well, this lays out
fits.
then. Yeah, is this
It's Clive Barker's thing?
The books of blood then with Cabal and all that, are those like his Torah, his New Testament, all those things that...
I would assume it would be his Bible, the Bible of Barker.
That totally...
Ooh. But like... No, but I enjoyed it. The chaos was great. The fight scenes, the monsters. This movie has got a lot of interesting things to say in a very interesting and fun monster way.
And there are multiple versions of the film as well. You have the theatrical cut, you have the director's cut, you have the Cabal cut, the rumored Cabal cut that's supposed to be 3 hours long.
I'd watch it.
Maybe
that's where we get the scenes that we didn't see, the ones when they're introducing the monsters. Maybe we get some more monster action.
Finally see the elongated jaw.
Yeah,
I would be all for that.
More Decker. Maybe we'll see. I'm down for the Cabal cut.
We'll have to see how that comes about. Now, final thoughts really quickly before I throw in a little surprise.
Okay. No, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I like the fact that it did set up, even though we never got it, it still set up a very cool world. And again, it sparked Del Toro. It sparked more Clive Barker. It sparked, even though he said he didn't, it sparked Adam Green's digging up the marrow. It's this love of the monsters that I think all horror fans share. Yeah. We've all felt like the outcasts at some point in time. We've all felt like the monster at some point in time, and we didn't fit in. So why not have a place like Midian? And I think that's why like things like the Casey Horror Club and things like Screenland work.
Yes.
Because for all of us horror-loving outcasts, this is Midian.
It's Midian.
Hopefully we don't have chussled sheriffs that want to destroy us, or crazy Cronenbergs that want to fucking slice our throat. But at least we have each other. And like in this weird times when none of us can see eye to eye with anything, it's at least cool to know that there is a Midian that we can escape to.
That's such a nice, heartfelt, emotion-like thing here. And I hate to say, I don't even want to like do what I was going to do as a surprise now. That was so nice. But something we occasionally did on our live podcast at Nerds and Nostalgia was we like to class up the very end with a little FMK, Fornicate, Marry, Kill.
Yes!
A bit... I know.
The Midian edition?
Well, we're going to do the Clive Barker edition. Or
all right.
We could do the Midian edition. Now, the Clive Barker edition I was going to throw on here would be Cabal / Boone, Rawhead Rex, and Pinhead. Or do you want to do your Midian edition?
I don't know what the Midian is, but if the Porcupine Lady is in it, that makes it null and void. So let's
just do the Barker edition. You want me to go first?
Okay, what are my choices? Cabal, Pinhead, and Rawhead Rex. Okay, all right. Go ahead.
Mine's very simple. I'm not going to go for laughs or yucks here, but Rawheads, I'm killing them because if you're into P-play, that's cool. Consenting adults, not my thing. So you know what? Just going to take that off the menu.
Right. I'm
going to get freaky with Pinhead, only because it's kind of like his moniker. It's almost like his sales pitch. We have such sights to show you. I'm thinking might be good, and if it's good for Uncle Frank, if it takes Uncle Frank to a next place,
come to Daddy.
It's going to take me to places, and I'm going to get married with Cabal and Boone. He's a family man.
Yeah,
we've got good extended family. Family's going to take care of us. I want to be, coffee with Boone and the monsters on a Sunday morning. So yeah, I'm going to marry Cabal.
I cannot argue with any of that. First of all, I'm going to kill Rawhead Rex, just for like you said. I'm not down for forcible pissing on. I'm not paying anybody. I don't have enough rubber sheets.
Wait, you said forcible though. Oh, okay, that's fair. Again, consenting adults.
I mean, I'm forceful pissing, I should say. A couple of drips is one thing, but the fucking fire hose, I'm going to pass, right? I'm definitely going to marry Cabal because he is a family man. He is like... And he's the leader of the fucking monsters. I'd be like the first lady of fucking Midian, right? Like
there it is. That's why.
Of course,
okay,
I'm gonna be kept. I'm gonna be kept, dude. You know I'm gonna be kept. I'm a starfucker, and the guy that can talk to the god of monsters has like direct communication with it. Of course, I'm gonna be set up. I'm gonna be living in the most well-to-do hovel in Midian. It's gonna be fantastic. It's gonna be just nothing but dirt walls and a color TV. It's gonna be great, right? And of course, I gotta get freaky with the priest of the gash, the high holy priest of the gash.
Oh, God.
The fact that his whole thing is pleasure to pain and pain to pleasure and beyond. Don't dream it. Seriously, like that's his bag, is just like sex.
I don't want to say this was kind of a no-brainer on the FMK, but I don't know. Curious, let us all know what you would get freaky, what you would marry or you would kill with our Barker edition here. Our apologies. I'm sorry. After such a heartfelt little thing there, Genius, I think like this is something you would have normally done. What is happening here?
Give yourself over to absolute pleasure. Except the only bad thing is if you're swimming in the fucking pool with the life preserver, you can't have any fornication with the porcupine girl. Because then like... and then you're like... And just like, yeah, no.
Oh, Lord have mercy. So hopefully you all enjoyed that double feature of Rawhead Rex and Nightbreed, the director's cut. Now, for our next Shudder Shout-Out, it is going to be coming up here in February. And I know at least for one of them, we're going to be definitely devoting one to Women in Horror Month. Who knows what's gone beyond that. So you'll have to tune in to check out what we cover. So until that time, this is Greg D.
I'm Genius McGee.
And we'll see you in your dreams.
To Midian!